Well, hello, Marcus here from Fly Drive Explore. Unfortunately, Mel can't be with us today. She's off doing something important. Well, that's what she told me anyway. In this video, we're staying closer to home and we'll be looking at our personal top 10 places to visit on the South Wales coast. So let's go. So one of the main things travelling has done is to make us appreciate more what we've got on our own doorstep. After minutes of deliberation, we've come up with our top 10 places to visit on the South Wales coast, from cities, seaside towns, to dunes, cliffs and bays. These are places that mean something to us. We love visiting them. We've got happy memories of being kids and going there. And it's basically just a bit of fun, and hopefully it'll help you see the beauty of Wales and make you come and visit. So anyway, that's enough chatter, let's get started. So at number 10, we've got Cardiff Bay. Cardiff Bay was once an industrial coal port, exporting coal all around the world, and it was famous for what used to be called Tiger Bay, and that's the area where Shirley Bassey was born and grew up in. It's now been transformed into a vibrant waterfront with bars and restaurants, and they've built the Cardiff Bay barrage, which has enclosed the old mudflats of the tidal bay into now a freshwater lake with sailing and canoeing and things like that on, and also they do sightseeing tours around the bay. So as well as Cardiff Bay itself, they've got the Wales Millennium Centre, which is a centre for the performing arts and has world-class entertainment and concerts. And it's also home for the Welsh Assembly, the Senedd. So maybe we'll avoid that subject. Anyway, at number 10, Cardiff Bay. So at number 9, we've got Swansea Bay and Mumbles. Well, after Cardiff Bay, we just have to include Swansea Bay and the pretty headland on the western end of the bay, Mumbles. The waterfront city of Swansea is the second largest city in Wales. In the old marina area, you'll find the interesting National Waterfront Museum. Like most museums in Wales, it's free, and it tells the story of Wales and Swansea's industrial past. From there, from the city centre, you can walk or cycle along the bay, past parks and gardens on the coastal path to Mumbles. In Mumbles, you'll find Oystermouth Castle. Like Wales, there's lots of castles. As well as that, you'll find on the headland itself, you'll find a lighthouse built in 1794, and there's an old Victorian pier at the end, quite a famous lifeboat station. Mumbles is also regarded as the gateway to the Gower, and we'll get onto that later. So for now, that's number 9, Swansea Bay and Mumbles. Number 8 is the Glamorgan Heritage Coast on the Vale of Glamorgan. It's a dramatic 14-mile stretch of coast which follows cliff tops and through little bays all the way from not far from Aberthaw virtually down to Porthcawl. Our favourite spots are Nash Point Lighthouse and Dunraven Bay. You may recognise the bay from Doctor Who, and it's been used in a number of episodes of Doctor Who, including the famous Bad Wolf Bay. If you do walk along the beach, alongside the cliffs, just check the tide times. The Bristol Channel's got the second highest tide after the Bay of Fundy in Canada, and it's not uncommon for people to walk, and as the tide comes in, they get trapped against the cliffs, so and they have to launch Porthcawl lifeboat to go and get them. So just check those tide times. And watch out for Daleks as well. Number 7, Merthyr sand dunes near Bridgend. The Merthyr sand dunes stretch 840 acres from the sea near the mouth of the River Ogmore all the way in to Merthyr village itself. It's home to the highest dune in Wales, the Big Dipper, which is a popular training venue as people run up and down the sand. Not for me, sorry. In the car park, you'll find the ruins of the fortified manor house known as Candleston Castle, and near Merthyr, you can cross the stepping stones over the Weni River to Ogmore Castle. Again, it's tide and flood dependent to cross those stepping stones, so check the times. But definitely go and check out Ogmore Castle. Number 6, Laugharne, Carmarthenshire. It's famous as being the home to Dylan Thomas, who lived there in the boathouse overlooking the estuary until he died in 1953. When you visit the boathouse, you can see his little writing shed set up as if he's just been in there with cigarettes and beer. He's buried in the local village church, St Martin's. As well as the boathouse, you can get a drink in Dylan Thomas's favourite drinking den, Brown's Hotel. Well, I think any pub was his favourite drinking den. Also, being Wales, there's also a castle. There's Laugharne Castle, which was built in the 12th century. It's only about 10 minutes from the motorway, so take a little diversion to go and see Laugharne in Carmarthenshire. Number 5, Swansea Bay, Porthcawl. We're getting closer to home for us. This is our favourite beach, and this is the area I used to play when I was a kid. It's really popular with surfers as it faces the southwest and gets the full force of the Atlantic swells, and lately obviously kite surfing's taken off in a big way. As I mentioned, I grew up here and it's a great place for kids. There's little rock pools as well as really good sand for making sandcastles, and I learned to surf here back in the 70s. Remember those old polystyrene surfboards? You used to play on them, they used to give you a horrible rash on your chest. Behind the beach is the Royal Porthcawl Golf Club, which was founded in 1891 and is considered one of the best in Wales. It's hosted many golfing competitions, and Tiger Woods played here back in 1995 in the Walker Cup. It's also hosted the Women's Curtis Cup and a few years ago the Senior Open Championship. Number 4, Three Cliffs Bay, the Gower. This is the first appearance for the Gower in our list. We'll be getting back to the Gower shortly. But anyway, Three Cliffs Bay. The Gower itself was the first area in the UK to be designated an area of outstanding natural beauty, and when you visit you'll see why. The bay itself takes its name from the 3 limestone cliffs which jut out into the bay. There's no road access to Three Cliffs Bay, but there are a number of options in the area where you can park and walk. Recently, on my last visit, I parked at the National Trust car park in the village of Southgate and walked west along the cliff tops to the bay itself. After you've explored Three Cliffs Bay, walk upriver to Pennard Castle. Yes, another castle. We are in Wales. Like most in the area, it was built in the 12th century, and they were usually built as wooden structures, and during the end of the 12th into 13th century, they were transformed into the stone structures we see today. So that's at number 4, Three Cliffs Bay. Number 3, Pembrokeshire Coastal Path. The coastal path runs for 186 miles along beaches, past villages, along cliffs and headlands. But don't worry, you don't have to do the whole thing, you can just walk parts of it. When you do walk the path, you could be lucky and see puffins and seals, especially in the autumn when the seals have their little pups. Again, the beaches and coves are spectacular. Places like Freshwater West are really popular with surfers, and also it's been used in a number of films, including Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. It's where Shell Cottage was, and the dunes where they buried Dobby, the little house elf. So that was number 3, Pembrokeshire Coastal Path. Number 2, don't worry, we're nearly there. Number 2 is Worm's Head and Rhossili Bay. So we're back down to the Gower. Rhossili is a breathtaking bay with 3-mile long sandy beach and the amazing Worm's Head, a long rocky outcrop, and it's only accessible at low tide. The name Worm's Head actually comes from Viking. It's a Norse word, worm meaning dragon or serpent, as it does look like a big dragon coming out of the sea. A lot of coastal features around Wales have got Viking names. Swansea is a Viking word, Skomer, and off Porthcawl, the rocks there are called Tusker. Obviously the Vikings were great sailors, and although they didn't actually invade Wales, they did skirt the edges, so hence all the Viking derived names. So that was number 2, Worm's Head and Rhossili Bay on the Gower. And at number 1, our favourite place on the South Wales coast is Tenby in Pembrokeshire. We love to visit Tenby at any time of the year, but we especially like it in the spring and the autumn when all the holiday makers have gone home. Again, there are fantastic beaches, and what we do like, it's got one of the prettiest harbours with little painted houses around the side. Tenby has a medieval stone wall around the town centre, and there's ruins of an old castle. St Catherine's Fort also stands guard. It was built in the 1800s on an island just on one of the beaches, and it looks out to sea. It was built in the 1800s when there was a perceived threat of invasion by Emperor Napoleon III. There's also a lifeboat station you can visit, and if you're up to it, Tenby is home to the Ironman whales. So if you fancy getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, doing a 2.4 mile sea swim, then going on a bike for 112 miles up and down the challenging countryside around Tenby, and a full marathon, that's the place for you. I've never done it. My brother's actually done it when he was nearly 60, so well done to him. Well, that's Tenby, our number 1 place to visit any time of the year on the South Wales coast. So that's our top 10 places to see on the South Wales coast. Congratulations for getting through the top 10, and well done. Anyway, as I mentioned at the start, these are places that are personal to us, and lists can be subjective. So I'm sure when you come, you'll find somewhere to fall in love with, whether it's a little seaside town like Tenby, or somewhere more remote and peaceful like the Pembrokeshire Coastal Path or the Gower. If you want to see more videos about Wales, have a look in the links below. We've got quite a few Welsh videos, including a lot of castles. We love a good castle. And next time, hopefully, I'll be back, and this time with Melissa herself. So until next time, that's a bye from me. Bye.